Hello from the Richland Hills Public Library. I'm Miranda, the youth librarian, and today we're going to be talking about Anansi the spider, who is a very popular god that originated in West Africa with the Ashanti tribe. So we're going to do a little bit of a craft plus fine motor skills activity that has to do with spiders. So what you need for this project is a paper plate. I'm using small ones, but they can be any size you want. Some paints or markers or colored pencils, whatever you want to decorate with. Some yarn, any color you like. Because I'm using paint, I've also got some water, and I've got a paper towel and a paintbrush. I also have a pencil for doing some of my designs on my plate, scissors for cutting, and this tool, okay, I'm gonna admit it, I do not know what this is. I found it in my cup holder, and it was perfect for punching out holes because I could not find my hole punch. I highly recommend using a hole punch instead, or you could use a sharp pencil or even the tip of a pin, but this was what I had, and it's just like a metal rod with a pointy, and it's not super sharp or anything like that, and you can see it's a little bent, but I had it and I used it. So and then I also printed out, because I figured my spider web that I'm doing would need a spider, and this little guy is a depiction of Anansi from a really popular book by Gerald McDermott, who does lots of African folklore and mythology tales. So let's get started. I'm going to show you how I cut my plate out, and then we'll use this plate to do the actual spider webbing. So what I did is I just took my pair of super sharp scissors, they have a really nice sharp tip, and poked a hole. But then, once my hole was in there, I actually turned it over this way, because I found it a little bit easier to cut, especially when it got right to the edge of the plate. Alright, just like that. And then to make the holes, I really just kind of eyeballed it. So I picked a place for the first hole and just kind of stuck it in there, just like that. And then I kind of eyeballed to the other side and did the same thing, and then all the way around the plate. So more holes, just kind of eyeballing the center. So I've got this hole here and this hole here, so the center is going to be right over here, approximately, give or take. And I did it over and over again until, I'm trying to think, how many holes did I have in this one? You can kind of see in this one, the holes are about 1 inch to ½ inch apart, all the way around the plate. Oh, you know what I forgot? I forgot tape. That's okay. We'll figure it out. We'll do knots or something instead. Okay. That's one great thing about any craft project, is there's always room for improvising. Okay, so for this part, I don't know exactly how much yarn I'm going to need. So what I did for my yarn is I measured like this from the tips of my fingers with my arm stretched out to the tip of my nose. And I did that 4 times, approximately, with my ball of yarn. So there's 2, 3, and 4, and you can see there's a little bit left over there. So this probably is more than enough for this project, but we will just have leftovers. Okay, and these holes may actually be a little too small, but I think I can enlarge them a little, especially for this first one. Okay, and this of course is where the fine motor skills come in, because your kids will be weaving and threading and knotting over and over again to make kind of a haphazard spider web. It's not going to do me any good, is it? 1, 2, 3. So in the grand scheme of things, it's probably better to have tape for this part as opposed to making knots. There we go. That's getting a little better. All right, so actually, while I'm doing this, let's talk a little bit more about Anansi. So Anansi is a trickster god, a lot like Loki in Norse mythology, or Hermes in Greek mythology. The cool thing about Anansi, though, is that he's very much a happy-go-lucky, feel-good type of god. He is... His stories are designed so that by the end of them, you're left with kind of a happy feeling. And I think that's a really awesome thing about Anansi stories, especially since, you know, usually trickster gods aren't really depicted that way. They're more kind of malicious, especially like in the case of Loki. But Anansi is the exact opposite. And it should also be noted that spiders in Ashanti culture are animals of wisdom. They're not considered gross or creepy crawly or anything like that. They're considered very smart animals. I probably should just go around and make all of my holes bigger. Otherwise I'm gonna have trouble with this entire project. I think my holes may have also closed up a little bit while I was painting earlier. Okay, and of course if we were using a hole punch, this would not be an issue. But you know how sometimes you get ready to do a craft and that one thing that you know you need for your craft and you can't find it anywhere, and that's what happened to me with my hole punch. I know it's around here somewhere. Okay. So, you don't have to go straight across. In fact, that's part of the fun of this project, is you just pick a random hole and then thread it through. And I kind of messed with mine a little too much, and I might have a little bit of trouble threading here. Oh, I'm gonna tear it. Don't tear, don't tear. There we go. Might need to trim it a little. That might help. Something else you could probably do, again, this is where tape comes in handy, is you could tape up the end so that it doesn't unravel on you. And that would make it easier for threading purposes. Okay. And then now we're gonna go on the other side and pick another random one. As you can see, it's definitely a good idea to have more yarn than what you think you'll need. I do think it also would have been better if I had some tape on the end of my yarn to keep it from unraveling. So you'll just take it, and if you've got tape, you can just cut off your excess and trim it down. In this case, I'm just going to cut off the excess because it'll be okay. All right, so there you have your finished spider web, and this is a little too detailed for me to cut out all the individual legs and things, but I'm going to kind of trim around him. because of the way we have our web patterned, instead of gluing him in or taping him in, we should be able to kind of interweave him into our web. Alright, so we just kind of slide him in there. Oops, now it's coming undone because I didn't tape it. And there is our Anansi in our spider web. All right. And this is something that, of course, you can play with your color schemes, with the type of thread that you want to use. I've seen people use twine instead of yarn, which is a pretty cool choice. But if you decide to make your Anansi spiderweb, please make sure to take pictures for us, share them online. You can also, if you've signed up for our summer reading club program, we have a mythology mission. And one of the missions is to take a picture of a mythology themed craft that you've done and post it online. And that'll get you that much closer to completing that mission and get you some extra points so that you can purchase with your points some different cool fantasy themed prizes or raffle tickets for our really big prizes that we'll draw at the end of the summer. All right, so that's it for this project. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you had fun, and I will see y'all next week when our theme is, let me think, unicorns. Our theme next week is unicorns. So I will see you for unicorns next week. I hope y'all have a good day.